right. Hello, everyone. I think we'll get started now. Probably more people are going to join us because we had quite a few registrations, and apologies for the wait, those of you who've come early. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I think it'll be a good time for us to get started. We have an amazing and very exciting discussion today. I am joined by my fellow panelists. We are going to have a very interactive and engaging session, so feel free to use the chats and ask questions in the chats at all times. I'll be managing it and directing the questions to our fellow panelists when necessary, when they have time to answer it. So the agenda for today is quite simple. We're going to discuss the digital marketing and digital transformation that happened due to COVID-19. And how to kind of sustain yourself and how to learn from the best local and international practices from the same in these times. So thank you all of you for joining on a Friday. I really appreciate that you've taken your time off your weekends to join our conversation. We promise to make it really worthwhile. And with that in mind, let me introduce myself and my fellow panelists. So my name is Elizabeth. I'm a lead instructional designer from Pearson Education, and I'm thrilled to be bringing you guys the education for professionals that is done in a way that's engaging, exciting, practical, and very much relevant to what you would need to stay current in the market. So that's what I've kind of do. And then I am also, as part of my job, I'm privileged to work with an amazing team of facilitators and partners. So I have one partner joining us today, and we're extremely excited to announce that Pearson has signed a partnership with CIM, and we are going to be working together to offer you fantastic education. We've already started marketing for the same, and I'm thrilled to welcome on the call today Clare Johns, who is an account director at CIM and who's been an absolute amazing to work with, and we're really excited to have her on board because Clare is coming from the UK and obviously having a vast experience that she does coming from CIM and being an account director. We thought it wouldn't be a better person to discuss the international and benchmark standards of digital marketing in digital times. So we're really excited to hear her opinion on the matter. And as I mentioned, I am blessed to have a fantastic team of amazing facilitators who I'm working on a day-to-day basis with. And I have joining me Yasir, Zahoor, who is a Google Partner Academy trainer. And he's also one of our digital marketing partners himself. So he's not only a professor who is just telling you things and not actually practicing it, but he's actually doing it for us himself. So we know that he's a very good professional. And we also have Martin Kubler, who is the very first facilitator who Pearson Professional has started working with. Martin goes back to, I think, 2.5 or almost 3 years now, right, Martin? And it's a pleasure to have you on this call as sort of the OG Pearson Professional, how we started. And Martin is the CEO of SBS Affinity, which is his own company. So he's consulting in digital marketing, and he's doing a fantastic job at it. That's why he's here amongst our panelists. And sorry guys if I've forgotten to introduce any bits of your bios. I'm sure you would fill in the gaps as we get to the questions. So yeah, thank you all for joining. I'm really excited to get started. Do you panelists want to add anything before we hop into the first question?
I'm waiting for Yasir to age before.
I think, yeah, it's great to be here, and we'll be sharing some valuable insights with everyone regarding what actually happened in COVID and how the digital transformation has happened and accelerated during this time. And we'll be glad to answer the questions that you'll be having related to digital marketing. So yeah, feel free, you have the chat box, you can always drop us a question, a query there, and we'll be glad to get back to you on that.
Yep.
Yeah, Martin?
So along similar lines, good to be here. As you already said, Elizabeth, I'm older than the internet, so, well, almost. As such, I also understand how marketing used to work before everything went digital. These are interesting times because of the accelerated pace of digital transformation, not just in marketing, but of course in our case, particularly in marketing. So I'm looking forward to an interesting session and lots of interesting questions.
Wonderful. Claire, would you have anything to add for us?
Just to say that we're also at CIM very excited to work with Pearson in the Middle East, and we are in the UK as well, which is good. I'm excited to be doing this as well, and yes, please do.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to have this discussion. And as I said, it's going to be a very informal one. So guys, I see there are quite a few of you joining. So please use the chats actively. I'm always going to be on the chat as a moderator for the panel, and I'm always going to be directing you questions to the right person once you have them. So it's going to be a very informal discussion. We don't have any slides because we just wanted to talk to each other. We didn't want to make it a standard webinar-y kind of a practice. We just wanted to bring to you the information and discuss some of the interesting things that have been happening in the region for a while. And to start that off, I wanted to say that, with COVID hitting quite hard the entire planet, really, we've seen how digital transformation has been really accelerated and expedited according to the rate that we didn't even expect. And something that was supposed to happen over a few years happened over the course of a few months. So I am sure that has impacted digital marketing as well in a big way. So I would be interested to hear the opinions of our panelists, how this transformation, this digital transformation has affected digital marketing, and what are the new things that we've been doing in the region. Maybe you have some case studies to discuss and present while we are discussing the same, and it would be interesting for us to kind of go over your opinion on that. So Yasir, would you like to start and open up the panel with that question?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Beth, you pointed out a very important thing, that is the kind of transformation that happened. Okay, we always talk about transformation, but we often do not look into the numbers. All of us will be actually surprised to understand that the digital transformation that was expected to happen over next 10 years has happened in last 3 months. Can you believe that? 10 years digital transformation has already, we were expecting businesses, the kind of traditional old type of businesses, to be transformed within 10 years, but those have already been transformed within last 3 months. Why? Because everyone was home, there was no way to reach people were not coming out of the homes. The only way to reach out to people was internet. So businesses had to do this rapid digital transformation if they had to survive. We will discuss about some case studies also going forward, where we will actually understand that businesses which didn't even plan to start on digital, they have rapidly grown on digital over these 3 months. So in fact, I'll point out some data here. Figures show that before the COVID hit in March, actually by March, economies had started closing and the people had started working from home. In March, a week before March, means the last week of February, and we compare the first week of March, we see the 46% of increase in the consumption of social media. 46% consumption week to week. That's incredible. That has never happened in the history of internet. Not only that, the organic searches on Google search compared from last month of February to first week of March actually grew by 33%, which is unprecedented. These type of jumps usually happen over the years, and it has actually happened in the week, just because everyone got stuck at home. So since people started rapidly using internet, it became widely and very important for the businesses to transform their traditional ways of businesses to come online and to present their offerings online and see how innovatively they can actually bring in their offerings, and they can actually do some business while everything is shut. So it's a very important thing. The transformation that happened, it's unprecedented. I'll further touch on some case studies going forward when we discuss about the case studies. So I can tell you, even some of the businesses that I closely work with, how a jump has happened just within these 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, so you're making a really good point. I've just shared some of the statistics you were sharing in the chat for all of you to have a record of.
Right.
Martin, would you have anything to add to this kind of preamble that Yasir has shared?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got sort of the general figures that Yasir had, but I mean, I'm working a lot with businesses that are essentially bricks and mortar and that rely on footfall, and that footfall obviously totally disappeared during the COVID lockdown. So it was interesting to see how such traditional businesses, like in terms of restaurants, hotels, used the internet, and particularly social media and digital marketing, to stay relevant during that time. Because of course, if nobody can visit you for 3 months, it is very easy for people to forget about you as a brand. So that I thought there was some really interesting stuff that happened during that time. I mean, I can share some of the examples if you like. Shall I do that now?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead, Martin. That would be good.
Right. So one of the brands that I work with is Megettigan's Irish Pubs. It's a Dubai headquartered Irish pub operator with 16 locations worldwide, and obviously, much like all other restaurants and bars, from one day to the other, everything got locked down, and nobody could come for a drink or for food or anything anymore. Okay? So the question then was, all right, whereas before they used social and digital media in order to, advertise offers, push out offers, obviously engage the audience. That all had to change completely, and what they were looking for is during the lockdown times, not to sell, but to provide perhaps entertaining content that sort of takes the mind of people a little bit of that lockdown and of the whole situation. Thinking that even in the during normal times, people go to a pub, go to a restaurant in order to take their mind off things. So what they did is, let me just share this in 1 second. So the first, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So the first thing they started doing is that they started to create video content.
So sorry, Martin. Sorry to interrupt you. Your microphone is being covered a little bit, so you sound a little bit muffled.
Is this better?
Yeah, this is much better.
Yes.
I had my finger on it, I think, So the first thing they did is they started to create video content in terms of different video series. So we had, like this one here, we had a cocktail glass, and those would be put out weekly on the same day. So every Monday you'd get a new cocktail, recipe. Then we had things like this at home with the Megettigan's crew. So if you just look at that.
This is Sophie, and my name is Ray. Today we are cooking Chinese rock fried prawns.
You can check this out, so on the social media pages. But there was a whole sort of at home with the Megettigan's crew thing where we introduced people that work for Megettigan's. There were also live performances. Okay, so where musicians that would normally play in Megettigan's bars played in their homes, and it was broadcast through the Megettigan's Facebook pages. another thing that they did, so another thing they did was, a second, where did this go now? We're at Trade Center. They did something called the Megatigans Factor, which was essentially a karaoke competition that people could participate in from their homes while they were in lockdown. And then every week there were performances and people could vote for it. And in the end, a winner was chosen by popular vote. So they did this. What I want to show as a result, is this one here. So this video I'm going to show in total, because it's only 58 seconds, and it explains exactly what happened with this brand during the lockdown. Right, and because of work like that, so firstly, this was fun content to create. Okay, and I find that especially during the lockdown, a lot of brands rediscovered that social and digital media can actually be fun, because all of a sudden they had their traditional KPIs disappeared. Okay, I didn't have to focus on getting XYZ numbers of people through the door or selling 50, 80, 90, 120 pieces of a product, because that wasn't happening. Okay? So they could actually try out new things, and that's certainly something that we did there. At the same time, we obviously try to keep the brand top of mind with the audiences, and as a result, we had roughly, I'd say, about 120 people that we know of that came into the pubs in Dubai afterwards when they reopened and said, hey, I've watched your stuff, this is what got me through the lockdown, and that's one of the reasons why, you're one of the first places I go to now that everything is open again. So that's just one example of a brand and what we did during the lockdown.
Wonderful. That's very interesting. I think they've gone to such a great extent to ensure that they are staying super creative, and they go out of their way to meet, their customers there at their homes in the period of COVID. And I think that's a very exciting effort from the brands, and how quickly they've transformed, because obviously all of the atmosphere that they've had, I've been to the place a couple of times, and I think they had an unmatched atmosphere because of the live music, because of obviously the food and the cocktails that they have. And I think it's very difficult to bring that atmosphere home, but seeing that video and seeing how far they've gone to please their customers makes me really want to go back there, because that kind of great work needs to be supported, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's really sort of what happened. And also because before, obviously, they didn't really do food delivery. They started doing food delivery during the lockdown, and that's where these virtual Friday brunches started. So they wanted to, as much as possible, recreate that experience. You ordered your brunch food, and you tuned into the Facebook live feed with the musicians from all around the world. And some were in lockdown in the Maldives, and others were in lockdown in Singapore, and others were in lockdown in Ireland. And they all joined together and provided that entertainment on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and I'm sure. Sorry,
I was just going to add to that. Like in the UK, we had a very similar with as we still are now, with the restaurants, where they've really turned around some digital to where they just happen to do takeaway, or delivery. And now what they're doing is when you go into the restaurant, you can sit down and you order everything on the website and it comes to your table. So they've really changed, had to really adapt to how they work, which, to be honest, makes people feel a lot safer. They don't have to move around. They've had to learn a lot of new skills,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a perfect segue into the question that I was going to ask you, Claire, next, actually, is that did you see, as obviously you're working with a lot of companies and providing education, digital marketing education. And I was wondering, in the period of COVID, as we saw a huge rise and, kind of a take up of the digital, did you see the increase in willingness of people to upskill themselves in digital marketing?
Hi everyone, just so you know, I'm an account director at CIM, and so we help basically, as Best has said, support individuals and businesses to help improve their marketing capability. So yeah, we have seen quite a large increase in some people who have got existing programs with us. They've started to uptake more of it with their online, because they've had either more time or they're struggling, so they've had to increase their skills to help them get through. Maybe in an area or a digital channel that they didn't understand as well, that they now need to use. We've partnered with some businesses as well, where they're doing offers within their program. So say, for example, Vodafone, we'll work with them and offer their small businesses ways to upskill their digital. So they'll join digital courses to help them through that, because a lot of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs and business owners aren't aware of how to optimize their digital channels. They're something they're very weak in, so they're really going to benefit from that. I just say definitely has had an increase. The other thing is in the UK, face-to-face is extremely popular, and obviously that hasn't been able to happen. So people have had to adapt to live virtual as well, classrooms, which people have been surprised at how much they've actually enjoyed, and not having to travel into London or anything. Or anywhere else for that matter. Some people are travelling internationally to us. People are finding that a bonus of actually having virtual over face-to-face.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we've seen, as Pearson Professional, we've seen that digital transformation happen to us also very, very quickly. Before, we were huge proponents of, face-to-face classes, which would be, I would say, 40 to 60% value add to the digital, and the digital was just there to support. Now it's exactly the opposite. Obviously, we've stopped having face-to-face classes, and I think we'll stick with that delivery mode, because obviously, like Martin and Yasir can vouch for that, we've gone through very extensive training on how to deliver very high quality virtual sessions that do deliver the outcomes, and we've tested it many, many times to ensure that that's the case. And I think after that initial scare and fear was over, we really started seeing people enjoy the fact that they could join the programs from all over the world, like you said, Claire. And same thing for us. We started seeing the reach go much beyond the UAE, because even before, for some people from Abu Dhabi, that was a problem, because they didn't want to drive 4 or 5 times up to Dubai and sit in the classes. Now that's completely no problem. We have people from Canada. Actually, my soft skills course, we had people from Canada waking up at 5 a.m. I mean, I wouldn't do that. They are super dedicated.
There's lots of opportunity.
Exactly, that presents lots of opportunities. And I think one of the particular reasons why I also wanted to really have you, Claire, on this panel is to speak about the program that we have created together, because who better would be to discuss that than you, because we worked really hard on making sure that this is going to be a very, very good product for people in the Middle East.
Do you want me to talk about the online part first, or do you want to talk about the program overall, or are you happy just for me to talk about the online part for now? Or
you can do the online part, and then I can supplement the program overall.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, so as part of the program that you're as Pearson are running as a whole. Part of it is there's an online part which is designed to support your training in digital marketing skills and the channels, whilst attending the other parts of the virtual classrooms, etc. So the modules that we've created with Pearson have been carefully selected through research of knowing which are the key channels that people have needed. So obviously there are hundreds of modules which people could choose from. We've selected like the best ones that we feel are the most needed right now. So the ones that are within the program are PPC, there's social media, there's content marketing, display advertising, email marketing, websites, usability, and then there's also a section on the end which just tells you the key trends. So understanding the key drivers for change. Just to give you an example, within the SEO channel, you're going to cover things like Search Console, analytics for SEO. You're going to look at search analysis tools that will give you things to take away. There'll be advanced techniques. They'll be managing your SEO agencies if you use them. They'll look at keyword research as well and how to get the best out of that. And then just finally, the other thing on it is it's 25 hours in total, but I'm not sure how Yasir will distribute that, but that's how long the program will take in total over the duration. I'm trying to think of anything else to add.
I think you've about covered it, Claire, with the great things that we've great effort that we've put together to make sure it's a great program. But to add to the virtual or synchronous part, I think it's completely remarkable that we've gotten the program to be spanning over 6 weeks only and have 10 workshops, which are led by Yasir, and they're going to focus on these technical aspects and practical aspects that will really make sure that you are fully equipped and fully skilled with all of the necessary tools to stay ahead in this curve with the digital transformation and with the importance of having that digital marketing skill nowadays. Yasir, would you like to add something first to the amazing workshops that you will be delivering as part of the session, and then we can move on to the next case studies that we have prepared for you? Yasir, you're on mute.
Yeah, so sorry for that. One of the very important things that I would like to share with everyone here is mostly when people hear about online learning or, especially in the COVID times when face-to-face workshops are not happening. So we talk about delivering courses online. So most of the people do not understand it properly. Some of the people think that it's like we are having the video lectures online which are pre-recorded and then we are going through those. No. When we are talking about this CIM digital marketing course that we are at Pearson are going to launch, it's a blended learning course. So we will be having face-to-face workshops, means instructors, specifically in this case me, I will be delivering face-to-face workshops with all of you. We'll be taking questions, case studies, and everything from you like we do in the classroom courses. So it's going to be face-to-face. It's not going to be online only. But in addition to that, there is going to be its online modules where you can study at your self-paced online. Means you'll be having the materials online, you'll be having the logins, you'll be going through that as well. So it's a blended learning. It's both you are having a self-paced online learning plus you're having workshops which are face-to-face. Okay. So having said that,
Yasir, sorry, just to add to that, to avoid a bit of confusion, what Yasir means by face-to-face is like we're doing right now. We're sitting, facing our cameras. It's not in person, but we're so used to calling it face-to-face because it really feels like that live interaction. Right. So that's I think that's a very important point, that it still happens at the comfort of your own home. And for some people in the comfort of their own PJs, which is totally cool with us, but they end up learning very important things.
Right. That's great. And it's actually very interesting. All of us might have realized that every next person that we know these days is doing a course. So that has happened because, people got some extra time during this COVID. They're sitting at home, so they want to learn, they want to upskill themselves. So I think it's a really great opportunity. Some of the friends I know, they have been aggressively working last 3-4 years. They didn't get time. They wanted to upskill themselves, or they wanted to get those extra skills, but they couldn't get that. But as soon as this happened and they had some extra time, they started focusing their energies in getting some upskilling themselves, getting a course done. So since we are talking about how education is transforming and how the classes are moving online, and we talked about Pearson, we talked about CIM, and you can look into any other institute, professional institute, we have moved online. Not only that, there is a huge transformation that has actually happened in the education sector, which would have actually taken, I think, next 10 to 15 years. I'll give you one of the case study, one of the example, which is a very, very interesting example for the school sector. Even if we would have transformed to online for the professional courses, university courses, colleges, very soon within next 4 or 5 years, schools would have still taken time to transform to digital. But what happened because of COVID? Schools were closed, everything was closed. Immediately, within 3 months, every school got online. Every school started conducting classes on Zoom or through their apps. A similar, case study I have in front of me. You might know there is a learning app for students, for school students. It's known as Byju's. It's very popular in the countries like India and other Asian countries. It's it's a global app. You can access this anywhere. And it has classroom courses, it has lectures from the teachers, starting from literally the first standard to the end of schooling. So you can cover your whole school on Byju's app. Now, Byju's has been there for almost 6 to 7 years, and they have seen a gradual growth over the last 6 years. But what happened in 3 months was unprecedented. They couldn't have imagined this would happen actually with the school education. What happened as soon as the lockdown was announced in around March, Byju's offered their learning platforms for free for 3 months to the students from 1st to 12th grade. So you could register yourself, you could register your kid on the Byju's, and they could study for 3 months for free. And what happened as a result? What happened? Byju's has seen almost 60% of increase in the new students who are using that. 60% increase just within 3 months. And due to that, Byju's, a learning app, crossed its valuation to $10.5 billion in valuation. And that's literally, if you look at the valuation of Byju's in January, and if you look at the valuation of Byju's in June, it's almost double. It's more than double. Why? Because they got 60% increase in the number of students using the app. So it's about two things. It's about the education transformation, and it's about a product using that interesting factor, making the app free for all for some time, and gaining that gradual growth within that period of time. They could have just let it be and have it on the yearly subscription basis, but they gave it for free for 3 months when students couldn't study. So yeah, they took this action, and as a result, you can see Byju's.
Oh, Huzur,
Okay, so as a result, Byju's crossed 10.5 billion in valuation. And in fact, it now has 57 million registered students. I would ask Elizabeth, she'll share some data in the chat as well. So you'll have these numbers, the 60% growth in the students, and 10.5 billion in valuation just within the period of few months. So yeah, we have seen a huge transformation of education sector during this time. And as we were speaking before, we at Pearson as well, we were doing face-to-face lectures, and we transformed to online, but we are doing online face-to-face for our all courses. And Clare was speaking about the specific digital
मम्मी
marketing.
बोले मत कर, पापा बोले मत कर, मत कर.
Sorry, if you could mute yourself, Nanam, that'd be very helpful. Thank you.
CIM digital marketing course that we are about to launch in collaboration with CIM. So we are going to have online lectures as well as blended learning that we were talking about earlier. So yeah, you can share some more details about that, Elizabeth, if you want.
Yeah, so I've gone ahead and shared that in the chat, and I think that's a wonderful kind of example of changing and transforming the business model due to the the efforts that they have made. Exactly as you said, by maybe taking a loss and basically accruing the expenses that they had by offering people the free version of the app. They've gained market share, and they've managed to kind of got people in the habit of studying with them, and then they've converted these people as a paying customers later on, which I think is a brilliant idea. Yeah, thank you so much, Yasir, for that wonderful case study. And Martin, over to you. I know you have something else very exciting to share with the audience today, and we actually have a piece of content for all of you to continue later on if you're interested to hear more about it. I'm really excited about that case study.
Well, I think I know what it is first talking about, at least I hope I do.
Me too.
There isn't a direct connection to COVID-19. Well, the connection to COVID-19 of the following case study is that because of COVID-19, what was supposed to be brilliant turned out to be a bit rubbish because it just didn't work. Anyway, so what am I talking about? At the beginning of the year, just before the whole zombie apocalypse started, I had a client reach out who has a restaurant in Dubai, and who says, I get all of these messages from influencers saying, oh, can I showcase your restaurant? I'll do Instagram stories. I'll do a YouTube video if you give me dinner for myself and my friends, this type of stuff. And he said, okay, I mean, I get it. I get the internet. I get social media. I understand that influencers are important for businesses, but I really am not sure how influential influencers really are in terms of actually referring business to a restaurant. Of course, it's very easy in e-commerce. If I am Amazon and I work with influencers, or if I'm any type of seller that works with influencers online, I give them a special referral code, and they, their followers can click on it, and I can measure. At the end of the day, I can say exactly, all right, because of this influencer, I have gained 50 new orders, and the order value altogether is $5,000, and I have spent on the influencers $2,000. Therefore, I have made a profit essentially of $3,000. So, simple math. In restaurants, that doesn't really, work that way, or it didn't so far. Influencers would just go in and say, all right, look, we're going to do Instagram stories, we're going to post about your food, about your restaurant, and our followers will engage with it and will come to your restaurant. What the restaurant owner said, well, do they really, or don't they? In other words, all of these free meals that restaurants are giving to influencers and in many cases with additional payment, does it actually produce results or not? So what we did is we sat down with him and we said, all right, let's gamify this, let's incentivize influencers, and let's invite them to actually show what they can do. So we essentially created an influencer competition. And I can show you this, how it looked. 1 second. See. Right. So the restaurant was called, or is called, Rue Royale. Is on the Palm in Dubai. It's a French fine dining restaurant. There you go. So what we created was the Rue Royale Games 2020, and this is how it looked. Okay, the main question was like, do you actually have what it takes to win the ultimate prize? Now, what was the ultimate prize? The ultimate prize was an all expenses paid trip for 2 people to Lyon in France, with a stay in a 5-star luxury hotel, visits to Michelin-starred restaurants for lunch and dinner, visits to farmer markets, meeting with chefs, so like including the flights, return flights, business class. So really a good price for that. Okay, what did people have to do? Well, they had to register as an official contestant, and we then looked at their social media profiles, and if we found them to be in line, that is to say, if they had food content on them. And now we didn't. There were no minimum number of followers that you needed to have, but your Instagrams, your TikToks had to be public, and the content obviously had to be in line with the usual sort of standards that we expect in the UAE from social media content. Okay? People from all over the Gulf could apply, and if they were found to be okay, their profiles were fine, they were given a official contestant badge. And the official contestant badge had a referral code on it that was unique to the influencer or unique to the contestant. So every contestant had their own code. Okay? As part of qualifying as a official contestant, they had to visit the restaurant and they had to dine at the restaurant. And what was unique here is that there was a discount offered on this, but they didn't get the food for free. The thinking behind this is that okay, if an influencer wants to really talk about how great a restaurant is, then they have to experience it from a guest perspective, and that entails also being able to talk about the value for money that a restaurant provides, and to generally experience dining like a regular guest would do. Okay, it very often happens that influencers are brought into restaurants, and the restaurant knows that their influencers, so the dishes then are extra special, and that's not really an experience that is to be found in these restaurants on a regular day-to-day basis. So the owner here was very keen for them to also, to some extent, to show that they're serious, right? So they didn't get a free meal. They did get a 25% discount to do that. Once they had dined and they had sent us their bill number, they were issued their contestants badge that contained their referral code. They then had the job of pushing that out, convincing their followers by posting content or whatever it is that they were doing on social media to influence their followers to go and visit the restaurant and quote their referral code. Everybody who did also received a 25% discount on all the menu items. The idea behind that was that at the end of the period, which was April, we would see which contestant has referred the highest number of people to the restaurant. So which influencer actually generated the most footfall. Okay. Now. The way this was pushed out, okay, it was pushed out to social media influencers that had contacted the restaurant beforehand, social media influencers that we knew, We went through Twitter, we went through Instagram, we looked at people who worked with other restaurants, and we contacted them proactively, but it was also put out in the trade press. It was on the website. So the message was spread, and it was a 2 months sign up period. Obviously, because of COVID, it didn't happen. Okay, that's to say, people couldn't actually go to the restaurant, and we could have then made it for delivery, but it just wasn't. It wasn't the same, right? Also because influencers then couldn't come to the restaurant to take pictures, such like to generate content. So the original idea didn't quite work. It's certainly something that we're looking to repeat when the whole COVID situation is over. But until then, what did we learn? Because we did learn something. Okay? So number one thing we learned is that those influencers that we were almost 100% certain that they would apply and they would jump on this chance, right? They didn't. Okay? They simply didn't apply. We reached out to them several times and they simply did not sign up. Now, they didn't sign up because they had an issue with paying for the food. That wasn't the point, okay? The point was that they drew a line, or they distinguished between showcasing a restaurant, which they saw as marketing, and driving footfall, which they saw as sales. Okay? So a lot of them said, no, we're marketing people, we're not salespeople. Our approach then was like, well, for the large majority of restaurants, which are smaller companies, right? We're not talking about the international chains like McDonald's here. For all of these restaurants, sales and marketing actually goes together. If I spend money on marketing, it has to generate sales. If it doesn't, then these places have an issue because the money goes to, like, it does what, right? If it doesn't generate footfall, if it doesn't generate sales, then where's the return of investment in this space for restaurants? If I give out 10 free meals, I would like to see, as a result, I would like to see footfall that pays for those 10 free meals. There is no doubt, because if I don't, then I've just made a profit, okay? And I could have given out the free meals to anybody, without going through the trouble of coordinating with the influencers, such like. So the first interesting point we found was that a lot of people online that style themselves or call themselves influencers draw a very clear line between marketing and sales. Then there were a number of others who said, no, I will never pay for a meal in a restaurant. Okay, fair enough. So those didn't sign up for that. And then there were others who said, look, I know I have 18, 25, 50,000 followers, okay? But I'm not sure that would translate into footfall. So, I mean, essentially they admitted from the beginning that their activities don't actually produce footfall. They produce a lot of nice pictures, and they will produce perhaps a lot of engagement and a lot of brand mentions, but they themselves aren't sure that they're actually able to produce footfall. So these were some really interesting findings. The last one, which I found interesting, is that people who actually don't see themselves as influencers, they don't go out and say, I'm an influencer, but who simply carry large networks or carry very engaged networks and who are very passionate about something, actually manage to produce a much better results than so-called influencers. So, I mean, some of these you might call the micro-influencers, right? In the case of the example that are shown here, Rue Royale, there were members of the French community in Dubai. There were lovers of French cuisine. They were there were simply people who said, yeah, I love this restaurant, I've been there before, I think more people should find out about that. And they really sort of tried very hard to spread the word and bring others down there with their referral. But obviously, the idea of having this, or being able to win this big prize, helped them. But bottom line was that, okay, those influencers we thought would rock this. Okay, we thought that they would jump on the chance to enter this, didn't, for a number of reasons. And others who we never really thought would take us up on this offer did, and produced very interesting results. Right? Unfortunately, we don't have enough data. If COVID wouldn't have happened, what we would have done was we would have run a series of Facebook, Instagram, and in general social media advertising with a set budget. The budget would have matched the discount amount that we have given for the influencers that were official contestants. So let us say if we had given, obviously they all got 25% discount. If there would have been 100 people that had been official contestants, then the discount would have had a monetary value of, let us assume,
paid off basically.
Yeah, 5,000 euros. We would have then put that against social media advertising, and we would have had a control group. Like, if I can put 5,000 euros into social media advertising, does it drive the same amount of footfall as spending 5,000 on influencers does? Okay. But unfortunately, due to COVID, we couldn't do that. But we will try this again in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah, Martin, no, thank you. Thank you for this wonderful insight. I think this is a very interesting case, and I think we've discussed it in the podcast that I did share in the chat. That was a very interesting case, and I think that was before the COVID, obviously, because we recorded the podcast together in one room, so that was way before all of this craze. So I think for those of you who are interested to find out more, that's a very wonderful piece of content to check out, because I think especially now that you have the whole analysis given by Martin, it's very interesting to compare the kind of mood and the kind of expectations you, Martin, had for it in the beginning, because I remember that you were super positive about it, but it was a very interesting experiment that you had to run, and you weren't even, like, you were positive about it, but you weren't sure how it would pan out. So obviously, in the light of a pandemic, it was quite interesting to see how that has changed. And I'm unfortunately sad to see that no one went to Lyon to try out all of the amazing things that were in store for them, but hopefully that will still materialize. And I also found it very interesting how you mentioned about the micro influencers. I think we tend to make assumptions, especially in terms of the how the influencers work and what value they can bring for us, because we pay as companies a huge amount of money sometimes for the influencers, and the result might just not be there because the engagement might just not be there. So it's a very good lesson for all of us to remember that it might not be these people with 100,000 subscribers and followers that give us the most results. It's like 80-20 principle, where you invest 20% of money and you get 80% of the result from the engagement of the audience, which I think is very, very valuable.
Yeah, and I mean, it just serves as a reminder that it's so important to make sure that whatever your social and digital marketing activities are, that they are tied to results in the real world. And as I said before, okay, we're not all the Amazons, we're not all in e-commerce. Some of us have small businesses, some of us have businesses that are very much bricks and mortar. So that will require a lot more thinking and perhaps a lot more imagination to come up with ways to tie the campaign to the results. Right? But it's very important that this is done, because otherwise the money in most cases is down the drain.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good point. And I think you've mentioned something very important also, Martin, is that people who have that brick and mortar business, that will have to spend more effort almost into, planning that digital transformation and knowing how to run that successfully. So this is why that leads me very nicely to my next point, which is further details on the program that we have, partnered with CIM for. I wanted to present the landing page for the program for all of those who might be interested, because I think it's a fantastic value for money. We've worked really hard with Clare to make sure that it works for all of us, and it's a great value for all of you guys. And as we said, there are 10 workshops by Yasir, so lots of technical details will be covered. There's a lot of content that comes from CIM, which is a world-class content. And I think another very important point that Claire, you might want to step in and add more things about is that I think you guys update the content on a regular basis, because I think with things like COVID, with different algorithms, this is very important to make sure that you're up to date. Otherwise, sometimes your efforts really go in waste when algorithm changes and you learn something, but then that's not really, that real thing anymore. Claire, you're on mute. We have a lot of Zoom issues today. Sorry, guys. It's a Friday for us.
They average, they update according to how things change. But as an average, they change probably about 2 a month in terms of moving around. So in your case, over the 6 weeks, you'll probably see a few, maybe 4 topics will change and then they'll be replaced. And then also sometimes added content will go on as well, like podcasts and things like that, just to support.
This is wonderful, because normally what happens is that, some of the digital marketing courses and providers that we were working with, the content could be very, very good. But sometimes what ends up happening is that content is 2, sometimes 3 years old. We've had an experience with one of the digital transformation courses that we previously had. We no longer have that in that particular form, but the course was from 2017. So obviously, with the reality of 2020 and everything Yasir and Martin and Claire and myself spoke about, that wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, all of the data would be completely irrelevant. And that's the beauty of the world we live in. But it's also a solid reminder. Yeah.
Actually, I had one of my friends telling me a year before, why don't you create a video lectures about, whatever you train on, and can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you create video lectures and just, create a course out of it, and just put it live, and you can create a course yourself. Obviously, you are doing all the work. So I told him that there is only one thing in the world that I see currently that regarding which you cannot create a course that's going to survive more than 1 year. That's digital marketing. Number one. Number two, digital marketing is the only thing that you cannot write a book about, because you cannot update book every 2 months, 3 months. You cannot create video lectures which are going to, survive for more than a year. And as Claire said, I'm really very happy to know this. We have had very difficulties with the content before. I used to update before every lecture, but what they would see online. So I'm really happy that CIM updates the content every 2 months, and that's going to create amazing value to the people who are going to join the course. And as I said, we update the content before every workshop, every lecture. So definitely that's going to complement what you guys are already doing with the online content.
Yeah, thank you, Yasir. And I was meaning to say that it's really the difficulty and the beauty of this world that we have to stay on track, to stay current. We need to constantly upskill ourselves. Like Claire said, with the COVID situation happening, and even with this whole ongoing digital transformation, we always need to make sure that we are current and relevant for the job market. So to make sure that we stay firmly ahead of the curve. It's very important to constantly upskill yourselves and never to stop on, the knowledge that you already have, because this is wonderful, but it should serve as a foundation or as a base for further learning and further improvements to whatever you're doing. For example, I'm sure all of my fellow panelists are upskilling themselves very, very regularly. I enroll in the programs at least every month as an instructional designer to make sure that I'm aware of all of the new practices and all of the new things for you guys to experience better learning from Pearson, and from our partners as well. So I think this is very important, and that's why I would really want you all to check out our program, which I've put in the chat, the landing page for. I think it has all the information there. Obviously, you can also download a brochure, which is a very, very detailed syllabus with all of the information right there. So it'd be very thrilling for you guys to check it out and join our class, because I'm sure we'll have a great amount of fun and we'll make it a worthwhile experience. And in terms of experience, we're actually blessed to have Anne Cook on our panel as well, and Anne is an amazing alumni. She's actually my alumni from the soft skills course, and Yasir and Martin's from the digital marketing program that we previously had. And it would be fantastic, Anne, if you could introduce yourself and speak a bit more about your experience, because we really want to make sure that your experience as a learner was on par from what we wanted to offer.
I joined, as you said, several different courses, and I found them amazing to be very, very helpful. Yasir is very detailed in his delivery of the courses and goes over everything really, really well. Martin did as well. I really enjoyed everybody's courses, and Elizabeth was just great fun to be in her classes. I learned a lot about my marketing and how I should and shouldn't be doing it, or could do it better. So it was really, really amazing. I'm glad I joined all of the courses and met so many nice people too.
Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you for sharing your experience. I know it's always daunting to come on camera and describe what you've been through and everything, so I really appreciate your time and effort to do that. We really are thankful for this, and it was a fantastic time. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us. Thank you for those of you who have participated and asked questions. I will open up the floor for more questions if anyone has any. And so you can stay on if you have more questions, and if not, I'm happy for you to drop off and for us to wrap up, and have a great rest of the day. And if you have a weekend, then have a great rest of the weekend. And if you don't, like Claire, have a great weekend ahead of you. And thank you so much, everyone. It was a great pleasure talking to you all about this.
Bye.
Hey, Elizabeth, I have a question. Is this only for good for the Middle East area?
No, as we said, we are open for international students. We're happy to accept the learners in the program from wherever. And if you can join, and if the timings work for you for the live workshops, we're more than thrilled to have you on board.
And good thing about this particular one course is that it's in collaboration with CIM, and CIM is global. It's not a dedicated course to Middle East. We basically run it for the students across the world.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Wonderful. Anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, thank you all for joining, and I think it was lovely to have you all on board here. And you will be sent the recording of the session and the chat transcript as well. Make sure to check out all of the useful links and statistics that we have shared with you. So I'll be definitely sharing the transcript. And again, thank you so much for my fellow panelists for having this amazing discussion. And I'm hoping to see all of you in our digital marketing class very, very soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.